Before Olympus ruled the world, before thunder crowned the sky and the seas knew their master, the cosmos was divided, sky, sea, and what lay beneath all things. After defeating Cronus, the brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades had cast lots. Zeus drew the heavens. Poseidon claimed the endless waters, and Hades received the realm no god desired, the underworld. Hades did not protest. He did not argue that the realm was dark. He did not demand a better kingdom. He did not look back toward Olympus. He descended. Because Hades was never a god of ambition. Where Zeus sought order through rule and Poseidon through force, Hades accepted duty. His power would not come from worship. It would not come from fear. It would come from certainty. All things that are born must end. All lives must pass beyond the threshold. And someone had to stand there, not as executioner, but as guardian. His realm was not hell. It was the place all souls must go to be judged, kings and beggars, heroes and cowards, the righteous and the forgotten. But Hades did not judge them. He did not torment them. He merely received them. Hades was the eldest born, the first swallowed by Kronos, the last to rise again. Among all the Olympians, Hades was the least human. He did not love easily. He did not forgive freely. He did not break oaths. Where Zeus ruled by command and Poseidon ruled by temper, Hades ruled by law. A law older than Olympus, older than the Titans, older than even the gods' memories of themselves. In the realm of Hades, nothing was arbitrary. No soul was spared because it was loved. No soul was punished because it was hated. No prayer, no offering, no plea could undo what had already been lived. To the Greeks, this was terrifying, not because it was unjust, but because it was unavoidable. Hades could not be bribed, he could not be persuaded, he could not be tricked. Even the gods respected this. For if Hades bent the rules, then death itself would unravel, and with it, the order of the world. And so the ancients rarely spoke his name, not out of hatred, but out of caution. They called him the unseen, the receiver of many, the giver of wealth. For all things of value come from beneath the earth. Gold sleeps in darkness, seeds germinate in burial. Life itself rises from what was once hidden. Hades was not the enemy of life. He was its boundary. And boundaries, once crossed, do not forgive those who ignore them. To understand Hades, one must understand his realm, not as a place of torment, but as a system. The underworld was not chaos, it was structure. Every soul, without exception, arrived the same way, across the river Styx, ferried by Charon. Coins were placed upon the eyes of the dead, not as payment for favor, but as acknowledgement of law. No coin meant no crossing meant no rest. Even in death, rules endured. Beyond the river stood judgment, not by Hades himself, but by those chosen for justice rather than power. Minos, Rhadamanthus, Aeacus, once mortal kings, were now eternal judges. They did not ask questions. They did not debate excuses. A soul arrived, and its life was already known. From their verdict, the path was set. Most souls passed into the fields of asphodel, a quiet, colorless plain for those who lived without great virtue or great crime. Here, memory faded, not as punishment, but as release. The exceptional were sent onward. The righteous and heroic found Elysium, a place beyond labor and sorrow, where time itself loosened its grip. And the truly wicked, those who defied the gods, betrayed sacred laws, or spilled innocent blood, were cast into Tartarus, a pit deeper than the underworld itself. a place even Hades did not rule directly, because punishment was not Hades' purpose, order was. Hades did not decide who went where. He did not alter the verdict. He did not intervene for love, grief, or resentment. His greatest responsibility was not to rule the dead, but to keep them from returning. For if the dead walked freely among the living, then life would lose all meaning. And so Hades stood at the boundary of worlds, not as a tyrant, not as a tormentor, but as the god who ensured that endings remained endings. Unlike his brothers, Hades did not rule from the sky. He did not attend every council on Olympus. He did not involve himself in divine rivalries. He did not interfere in the endless dramas of gods and heroes. He was the only Olympian whose power did not depend on visibility. He did not need temples on every hill. He did not demand festivals or songs. In fact, the Greeks rarely built him temples at all, and when they did, they struck the earth rather than raised the altar. Offerings to Hades were made quietly, often at night, often with faces turned away, not because he was hated, but because he was not to be summoned lightly. Even the gods respected this boundary. When Heracles descended to retrieve Cerberus, he did not fight Hades. He asked permission. When Orpheus entered the underworld, his music did not charm Hades into disobedience. It earned a conditional mercy bound by law. And when Theseus attempted to steal Persephone, he was bound to stone, a warning etched into myth itself. Hades did not rage at trespass. He corrected it. Those who crossed the boundary between life and death did not face his anger. They faced consequence. For Hades was not the god who punished defiance. He was the god who ensured that defiance could not undo order. The Cyclopes forged Hades a divine helm, a relic older than Olympian rule, a helm that rendered its wearer unseen, not as a trick, not as deception, but as truth. For death does not announce itself. It does not arrive with thunder or flame. It comes quietly. Keys became his symbol, for he alone controlled the gates between worlds. The cypress tree was planted for him, a tree of mourning and endurance. Even Cerberus, the three-headed hound, was not a beast of cruelty, but of vigilance. He did not hunt the living. He prevented escape. Nothing in Hades' realm was excessive. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was cruel without purpose. His kingdom did not exist to punish life. It existed to preserve its meaning. For without endings, there can be no value. Hades was the only god who never pretended to be kind. And yet, there was Persephone, daughter of Demeter, goddess of spring. The myths tell of her descent in different ways. Some say she was taken. Others say she agreed. Some say the earth opened without warning. Others say it answered a calling already made. But myth is not history. It is meaning. What matters is this. Persephone ate the seeds of the pomegranate, and in doing so, she invoked a law older than love. In the realm of Hades, nothing is taken lightly. Nothing is undone without cost. 6 seeds meant 6 months. She would return to the world above, where fields would bloom and life would rise again for 6 months of the year. Then she would return below to sit beside Hades as queen of the underworld, not as a captive, not as a victim, but as balance made flesh. For the underworld was never meant to stand alone. Death without return is despair. Life without death is chaos. Persephone bound the 2 worlds together, and Hades did not resist this law. He did not hide her. He did not deny her assent. He did not break the rules of his own realm. Among the gods, their union was the most enduring. He took no other wife. He did not pursue mortal lovers. He ruled beside her, not above her. Together they governed the cycle, decay and growth, loss and return, silence and song. And so the seasons were born, not from cruelty, but from order. But more about Persephone in another story. When people speak of Hades, they speak of fear. They imagine fire, punishment, darkness without end. But the ancients knew better. Hades did not create death. He did not delight in it. He did not hunt the living. He did not promise salvation. He promised truth. That choices endure. That actions echo. That nothing truly vanishes. It only passes beyond sight. This is why the Greeks did not curse him. They respected him. They lowered their voices at his name. They struck the earth when they prayed. They honored him not with temples of marble, but with silence. Because Hades was not the god you turned to for miracles. He was the god you trusted to keep the world from unraveling. And so he remains, beneath memory, beneath myth, beneath the earth itself. The unseen god, the final gatekeeper, the keeper of balance, not a monster, but the end that gives meaning to every beginning. Subscribe to Ancient Untold Stories to uncover more gods and goddesses that the world forgot, and the truths they still keep hidden in shadow.